Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Miami Hurricanes Live. Can you believe it's 121 editions, and we're going to have two more tonight. So in just a few minutes with the Wholesome one from YouTube fame, and then at 7 o'clock Eastern time with Cam Underwood from State of the U. So that's how that works out. It's not intentional to have two Miami live streams on the same day, but in regards to scheduling and trying to work those out, that's how it happens sometimes. I apologize for being, 10 or 12 minutes late. The Wholesome one can never make it until about a quarter after the hour at 4 o'clock Eastern time on Thursday due to his schedule. And most of the time, I will jump on here at 4 o'clock and answer your comments and questions and set us up for an hour with a Wholesome one, but I was not able to do that this time around. So I'm just getting to it. Again, Miami live talk here for the next hour with the Wholesome one who is standing by. In the meantime, leave your comments, your questions in the live chat. Keep in mind that your individual contributions keep this stream and the channel going. So you can make those at Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App. That would be the preferred method, but also you can certainly contribute here on the Super Chat as well. Again, individual contributions help keep us going in regards to the channel and this specific show. Miami fans have contributed more than anyone. No, I don't keep record. I don't keep account, but I know that Miami fans have contributed more to my channel and more to this show in particular, of course, than any other fan base. And therefore, the show is safe and will continue based on your individual contributions. And also, we are looking for a sponsor. We certainly pull enough views here on this show in particular and our other offerings here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, to have a sponsor. I've done research on this. We should be able to get a sponsor. So if you own a business that could benefit from sponsoring us at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, whether that be for this specific show or the channel in entirety, please contact me at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. Or if you're in connection with somebody who owns a business that could benefit, certainly hook us up and contact me at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. All right, let's get to the comments and the questions. I always do a pretty exhaustive search prior to doing these live streams to see if there's any news that needs to be addressed. Don't see anything in particular regarding Miami football, but of course, we'll get the Wholesome one in here to answer your comments, your questions, trash talk there in the live chat, and bring us some debate topics as well. I know what I'm going to hit him up with for sure, but I leave the floor to you. All right, let's check out and see what you guys have for us today. Got Lenny. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, Lenny. I don't know if I've got enough A's and Z's in my windpipes, but what's up? How was that? All right. Dominic, good to see you as always. How are we doing this afternoon? Doing great. Doing well. Doing fine. Got King Slayer. Good to see you. Lenny the Gump. Daniel, hi. Good to see you. Clavon must be picking up for, oh, shoot. Who was that? I feel bad that I can't think of who that was. I can't remember who that was that every live show used to jump in here and declare my presidential run for the next time around. That was 2020, so that's outdated. I missed my calling, I guess, that for 2020. But Clavon, appreciate it. Mark for president for 2024. That could be against, yeah, I don't even want to speculate. Shane, good to see you, as well as Bo, Clemson fan, looking for a big 2021. Shane's got 2 babies to deal with. All right. Vinay, we appreciate that. And I understand that that's difficult, especially, I guess, on the phone, from what I hear, to donate via the super chat. But again, that's available to everyone out there. Casey Cruz, hashtag Live Squad. And then for those of you who miss parts of the show, you can go back and be part of the hashtag Rewatch Squad as well. Oh, the Rod Farva. Trash talk never happens in the Miami chat. No, would never happen in the Miami chat. Miami 2021 record predictions asked by Adam Garcia. Well, I'm going to have to look at the schedule, but I certainly see a schedule that sets up well, just like it did 2 years ago for Miami to not go 6-6, but to go 10-2 in that particular year. If you looked at Miami's talent and looked at the schedule, Florida was a little bit better, not a ton better talent-wise. And Florida State, it's hard to say and think of at this point that it could be possible, but a year and a half ago, Florida State was on Miami's level. Coming out of the 2018 season, they were pretty much on the same level. Miami 7-6, Florida State 6-7. So those look to be the 2 games that Miami could lose. And really, the Florida State game was pretty much a toss-up. In the Florida game, Miami would be a decided underdog, as they were, and they barely lost that game. So a lot of people had predicted 2 years ago 10-2. I said 8-4 just because I knew that the coaching staff was going to screw up 2 games. And so then it was going to be 8-4, and it turned out to be 6-6. So I see a similar situation here in 2021, although the Florida game from 2 years ago that was winnable is replaced by an Alabama game that is basically not winnable. That's a loss. Michigan State and Appalachian State cannot be ignored, cannot be dismissed or looked past in any way. And then the ACC schedule is certainly workable. The division's not tough. It's the worst division, along with possibly the Pac-12 South Division, the worst division in college football. There's the game against North Carolina on the road this time. So to me, Alabama's a loss. North Carolina's a probable loss, but not definitely a loss, but a probable loss. And then they trip up somewhere else along the way. So Miami probably goes 9-3 this year. Matthew, good to see you. Got Ronan, always here supporting us. Love to see that. Doing great, doing well, going fine. That went downhill quick. Mark. Is that what I said? Shane's got a question. Let's go, Canes. If we had a dramatic improvement in the defense with the new coaching changes, do we keep them or do they leave? Also, is the breakout player, who is the breakout player on defense? Well, I'm going to pass that along to the Wholesome one in terms of a breakout player on defense, because to me, a breakout player is one of 2 type of players. It's either a guy who is already a starter, solid player, decent player, makes an impact on the team and is solid, good, decent, and breaks through to all conference, all American type status, breaks through from being a serviceable starter to a star. Or this is a player who contributes on special teams, is maybe an unknown factor, barely gets into the ball games, and then becomes a player that you can count on, breaks into the starting lineup. That's my 2 levels of breakout player. Got Devin Ray in the chat. Good to see you. Matthew, has Oklahoma and Miami ever played? Yes, they did. They played in 1985 in Norman, and Oklahoma was a substantial favorite and eventually went on to win the national championship that year over Penn State in the Orange Bowl. Miami won that game. Vinny Testaverde at quarterback beat Oklahoma in a game in which Troy Aikman was the starting quarterback for Oklahoma. He actually started to bring back Oklahoma in that game, and he got hurt, and he never played for the Sooners again. Transferred to UCLA. So that's kind of the historical side note to that game that proved to be the most substantial or the most important aspect of that game was that Troy Aikman got hurt, never played for Oklahoma, and Barry Switzer again got himself out of that wishbone offense, went to UCLA, and became the number one player in the country, number one NFL draft selection, 3-time Super Bowl winner. All right, so Miami won that game at Oklahoma in 85, and then they turned around the next season in 1986. Wait a minute. Yeah, 86. They played at the Orange Bowl, and Miami won again in a 1-2 matchup that was much ballyhooed, and Oklahoma again was expected to win. Why? I don't know. But Oklahoma was expected to win, and Miami won the game. I believe it was 20-14. So those are the two times Oklahoma and Miami have played, 85, 86. I don't believe that they have played since. I'm almost positive they have not played since. The Rod Favre, this is something that I had seen on Twitter, that the NCAA Football Oversight Committee is recommending extending the recruiting dead period again. This is terrible. I would agree. Without getting an explanation, I would definitely agree, as most of the regulations that we've seen from state and local governments, and now maybe the national government, the federal government, coming out with certain mandates and stipulations that are not wise. All right. Unchained 2018. Appreciate that. Matthew. Yeah, we covered that. Mr. HD's on the line. So the Ron Favre telling us that Miami and Oklahoma played in 2009. So when that was brought up, I brought up the two big matchups in 85 and 86, and I somehow thought that there was another game out there, 09. I don't remember that game. It was a regularly scheduled game. It was not a bowl game, or I would remember it. How fast can the Miami defense be developed? Well, the Miami defense has been a top 15 unit for most of the last decade, and certainly in the last 5 years, but did not play particularly well this past season. I would think that they can be developed quickly. There's enough talent there. There's much speculation there, Phil, concerning De'Ara King's availability for the opener against Alabama. The more I hear about it, the more optimistic I hear, just not necessarily the reports of his individual improvement and progress, but just the diagnosis for his type of injury, being able to get a player back in that time. I've seen it noted online from credible sources that he should be able to get back sometime in July. There it is. Mr. HD says sometime in July. Matthew Bras says, you realize Nebraska hasn't played a Big 12 opponent in football since leaving. They played Colorado, a former conference foe. Yeah, that's now in the Pac-12. They played Colorado the last 2 years, and Nebraska does play Oklahoma this year. Vinay's here. Good to see you. Matthew's asking, how much does it hurt Miami and Florida State when the small schools in state can compete to get players? Well, it, of course, hurts. I don't know, though, if you look at, certainly South Florida is not competing for the same players. Even UCF, with all their success, going on 4 years of pretty outstanding success here recently. And even before Scott Frost cleaned it up, they had a nice run earlier um, under George O'Leary that UCF was winning at a high rate, but not with the same players that Miami's recruiting. UCF, those classes that comprised those undefeated teams in 2017 and 18 were not top 50 classes. So they're really not the same players. I gotta say, I'm not understanding everybody's. Am I missing something on the when people ask who somebody's played the W in place of the L? What am I missing there? All right, we got Henry Rios greeting Mark. Go Canes and smash the like. Yes, smash the like. This is what I gotta say. I don't understand this, and I appreciate all the encouragement that a number of people give in the live chats when they tell other people to hit the like button. Is that there's going to be like 2,000 people watch this video when it's all said and done, and we'll probably have 150 likes. That's like 7 or 8%. 7 or 8%, like 7 out of every 100 people like the video. Well, I got to think that more people than that actually like it. It doesn't cost any money. It takes like 1.5 seconds to execute why you can't like the video. Liking the video doesn't stroke my ego. What it does is it generates the algorithm that YouTube needs. And again, if we only get 50 views on this video, that's not going to help it. But if we get a couple thousand views plus the likes, the combination of the views, the view duration, and the likes, and maybe some other things will cause YouTube to push the video into the suggested videos column. And once you get placed there, then the probability that people will watch the video just skyrockets, just goes through the roof. Just think about your own YouTube viewing habits. What do you watch? Unless you're specifically looking for something. And then probably once you've watched that video, what are you watching? You're usually not looking things up. You're looking at all the suggested videos on the right side, and you're pulling from that list. That's where we need to get these videos. All the videos, regardless of the team, the live stream, recorded videos, everything needs to be pushed into the suggested videos. All right. We got Henry here. Greetings, Mark. Go Canes. Smash the like. There it is. Dominic's here. Talking about basketball. Okay. Dominic's a bit confused, but that's okay. Welcomed regardless. Casey Cruz. There's a couple perspectives on the 2000 National Championship race and who should have played in the Orange Bowl for the championship. Of course, Oklahoma was the one team that definitely earned it as an undefeated team. Yes, it was idiotic that Florida State was in the game over Miami. Miami beat Florida State. They both went 11-1. So Miami should have been in over Florida State. However, Washington beat Miami. Washington went 11-1. They won the Pac-12 championship. So my pecking order would have been Washington should have played in the national championship game against Oklahoma, because they obviously won the game against the Canes. So the Washington fans should be upset. Vodka drinkers telling us that Jerome Brown broke Aikman's leg. I somewhat remember that. I also know that I remember that game. Like, I watched that game. Nobody knew who Troy Aikman was necessarily unless you were a big Oklahoma fan and knew that he was supposed to be a hotshot prospect. They were actually changing the offense to accommodate him because Troy Aikman, when you think about Troy Aikman running a wishbone, it seems ridiculous that Barry Switzer would have even recruited Troy Aikman. What's interesting about that situation as well is that Jimmy Johnson talks about it now, and I've heard in the documentary series that the NFL Network shows called The Football Life, the Troy Aikman one, another outstanding episode out of that NFL Network outfit, because that series is phenomenal. That Troy Aikman talked about the recruitment between Jimmy Johnson, not at Miami, Jimmy Johnson at Oklahoma State, and Barry Switzer at Oklahoma, and that Troy Aikman decided to go to Oklahoma. I don't remember the exact reasons why, but shoot, if you're a big time high school football player in the state of Oklahoma, especially at that time, and it's Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State, well, you're going to go play for the national powerhouse. Oklahoma State was virtually nothing at that point. But just an interesting sidebar to that was that Troy Aikman turned down Jimmy Johnson then. And then when he went to transfer, Jimmy Johnson contacted him again in some way. I don't know what the rules were and still are concerning transfers and who you can talk to. But anyway, he talked to Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson wanted him at that point. He decides to go back home to UCLA. So Troy Aikman had grown up in Southern California until he was like 9 or 10 years old. Then they moved to Oklahoma. That's why he signed with OU. Then Jimmy Johnson comes after him a second time. And then the third time, Jimmy Johnson didn't let him get away because he drafted him number 1 in the NFL. Whoa, no. Tom Landry and Gil Brandt and Tex Schramm, the former regime before Jerry Jones took over and bought the team and fired those guys and brought in Jimmy Johnson. They drafted Troy Aikman. Let me back up a second. They would have drafted Troy Aikman. That's right. So this was in the spring of 1989. Landry was fired in February. They were all set to draft Troy Aikman. Everybody in the world knew there was no drama concerning the we got the Wholesome one in the chat. Hopefully you got my link, and we'll be able to jump in here very soon. There was no drama concerning who was going to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. It was Troy Aikman. So anyway, technically, Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson drafted Troy Aikman because Landry, Schramm, and Brandt had been fired. And Aikman made a joke basically that Jimmy Johnson, they crossed paths again, and this time Troy Aikman didn't have the opportunity to turn down Jimmy Johnson. All right. Oh, there we go. There's the man, the Wholesome one. What is going on today, sir?
What's up, Mark? How you doing?
I'm good. I hope I didn't leave you hanging for too long this time.
No, I just got in.
Absolutely. Great. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm doing just fine. I'm doing fine. So everybody, you know the deal. Leave your comments, your questions, debate topics, anything you've got for myself, and especially for the Wholesome one. And of course, you hit that like button and you get done enjoying our conversation here, you head on over to the Wholesome One's channel here on YouTube and subscribe over there. So if we've got nothing on the radar, I know what I'm going to hit you up with. I want some scouting reports. This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for 2022 scouting reports and 2021 scouting reports. I will hear scouting reports on everybody that was signed and everybody that they've gotten a commitment from for 22.
Okay. You want to start offense or defense, buddy?
Let me pull the list up here.
Sure.
And you let me know if you've got a preference. And in the meantime, everybody, certainly leave your comments, your questions. I will, we can continue this for the next several weeks if we need to. If you've got questions, leave them in the live chat. So you want to go 21 or 22?
Let's go 21. 22, we're still working on them. I mean, they haven't signed. They're
Sure.
committed, but we'll see. It's Miami's
Yeah.
bad luck that those players don't stay. So we'll see.
All right. We're going to hit up the Wholesome one on 2021. We'll remind everyone second ranked class in the ACC and number 12 in the nation. So we got 8 early enrollees already on campus, starting with quarterback Jace Garcia, the 5th rated quarterback in the country, number 15 in the state, top 50 player nationally.
Wow. A lot of programs, Mark, it's about that position. In most teams, they either got to do it one or two ways. You get the QB, and over time, you get the talent around them, or you build the talent around them and you wait for a marquee QB. Now, I can't say which one he is just yet. We got to see him at the collegiate level. But a young man who was the number one QB, I think it was like a year or two ago, going into this class, he was the number one quarterback. And over time, that's kind of trickled down to 4 or 5. But either way, he's either right under elite in between the really good section. He's a B plus, A minus type of, depending on how hard you grade, he's in that realm. Obviously, he's top 5 nationally in his position. Okay. So you want to bring in players like that. And at QB, I've seen it done so many different ways. You have the loud, cheery. He does all the chants. He leads the team. He walks in and does the signals, and the wide receivers go crazy, like Baker Mayfield. Or you have a quiet player like a Trey Lance or a Carson Wentz or Brad Kaya. And then you also have someone who could play in between both of those, kind of like your Ja'Cory Harris is your uh, 17, Stephen Morris, where they can get a little riled up, but they also can be reserved and quiet and understand that they are the leaders, so they have to stay even keel in certain realms. And I like that about Jake Garcia. Um, I was one of those players, Mark, that players. I was one of those followers that it was really tough for me to fall in love with Jake Garcia until I saw pen to paper, because I felt like we were going to get trolled again. Like the whole fan base got behind the hashtag Jake Garcia to the U. We had that rolling in the algorithm there for a while, and he was still committed to USC that whole time. I mean, we were basically kissing air, waiting on somebody to kiss us back. Like, please come to us. Please come to us. But it paid off in the end, because not only were the Miami Hurricanes fans in love with what he could do down here in South Florida and at Coral Gables, what him and his style of play could work for the Rick Lashley system took it to a whole different level. Like, you know, I'm infamous for what I said about last year about Tyler Van Dyke. Like, you know, I wish him the absolute best. I'm not here to say that he sucks or that we don't want him on the team, but he was a Dan Enos recruit. He was Dan Enos' pick QB to run that under center 2001 offense. Okay, and we want to kind of move away from that as a program. So I'm more of a Peyton Matoka guy. I think Peyton could do really well, not just because he has a good first name, but I think he could do really well at Miami in the scheme. So I'm excited about Jake Garcia, but I'm reserved because I understand that we got to fix a couple things around him. Offensive line and consistency at the coordinator position. Now, if you tell me the University of Miami can either hold on to Rhett Lashley or bring in somebody better, then I don't see anything being wrong with Jake Garcia and his. Obviously, you bring him in; he's a B plus player. I don't want him to leave a B plus player. I want him to leave an A minus, an A plus. Maybe it'll be great to see Miami take that elite step at the QB position. I'm just tired of seeing young men come to you very good and leave the exact same prospect 4 years later. And I think that's not only a detriment to that player, but think about how many offensive coordinators that player probably has gone through. How many different philosophies, how many different schemes, how they want to be used and put in the system has changed. So with QB, I'm excited about Jay Garcia, not because of the hype, not because I expect to see him on the field versus Alabama. It's because I think he will be one of the first QBs in a long time at Miami that's going to be put in a position that fits what he does well from day one. And hopefully we can hold on to it. I mean, Like I said, I'm really holding back. I think he could be so freaking good, Mark. I just want him to be able to grow as a young man in a system that's going to let him go out there and cut up, because I think he can be a big time dynamic QB for Miami.
I think Kyle Smith here is referring to the video I released a couple days ago. So I'm revamping all the schedules in college football. So I'm going conference by conference and basically laying out what I believe the format for the schedule should be that's fair and equitable and balanced and makes sense. And I'm bringing to light how screwed up college football scheduling is. So I'm starting with the conference scheduling. I'm moving on to the non-conference scheduling. So Wholesome one, as we run down these players, if it's not too much, if it's not going to be brain overload, something I want to have simmering back here for later when you come across the answer to two questions, or we could table this for another week. But I think this is a good one based on what you just stated about getting tired of seeing players who come into the system at a certain level, never progress, and then move on or go to the NFL even, but really didn't develop into what they could have been. So my question would be, what player can you think of that had the greatest amount of progress and improvement at Miami during the time that you've been watching, that from the time that they first stepped on the field with the U till the time that they played their last game, made the greatest strides of development during their time? And then on the flip side, who do you think from the time that either they were a hotshot recruit or they got off to a great start in their career and you were like, man, this guy's a stud, you were excited, they showed so much potential and really produced early, and their career just went downhill? So keep that in mind, and we'll hit you up with those two
Oh, I
at
already
some
got both
point.
my answers, so we can
Oh,
keep
you got
going
them
and we'll
both?
get to that when we do.
Oh, I
Oh,
want to hear
oh
them.
my, those are
I want
easy.
to hear them
Oh
then.
my. All right, I'll start off with the bat first. I want to end off good. So a player that had this just big time year and his career just tuned Undertaker style, boom, right on the top of the head and down for the 1-2-3. Wide receiver, class of 2013, Stacy Coley. I mean, this dude came in untouchable, Mark. Like everybody gets all in the hoopla about Mark Richards and yeah, he's a first round draft pick, la 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 la, whatever. Stacy Coley was my guy. I watched as a freshman tear teams to shreds. Okay, so that's 2013. 2014, injury riddled. 2015, he was healthy, but you wouldn't realize he played because he couldn't catch the freaking football. Then in 2016, loses like that top tier receiver to Ahmad Richards, who was 17 years old at the time, comes in and takes it away from him. Okay. He went from watch out for this player to dang, injuries could derail his career to what happened to that guy like this. And it hurt. It hurt. It hurt big time. Stacy Coley.
Okay. And then on the flip side, the guy that maybe you weren't impressed with right out of the gate, but really, really developed in his 3 or 4 years.
Man. See, as I'm talking about, it's a couple of them that I can give you. Because one of them, if you go by the star system, you wouldn't think that this player was going to be all of that. And I'm going to pick him because he played here for 4 years. And yeah, I'm a little biased. He's one of my favorite players. But Denzel Perryman. To where he comes in as like the 32nd ranked outside linebacker, 3-star, and is the second inside linebacker picked in his draft class. Like, think about that, Mark. He goes from barely making, 3-star rankings. His ESPN didn't even profile didn't even have a picture on it. Like, it was just like Denzel Perryman, OLB, 5'10", 205 pounds, out of Coral Gables Senior High School, 3-star recruit. And he came in, and I wouldn't say that he was far from trash. Of course, he was not bad, but he was a player that just kept ascending and ascending and ascending. Like, it was probably like a C plus, B minus guy. as a true freshman. He got on. He was a rotational guy. By the end of the year, he started making a lot more plays. True sophomore year, I'll never forget it because his second defensive snap as a true sophomore was a pick six versus Boston College. Okay, second play of the game. That was also the Duke Johnson coming out party. It was his freshman season. 2013 comes around, and now he's one of those guys that they're talking about on the defensive side of the ball. Hops out against Florida and has this big game against them with a couple TFLs, blitzing the QB, forces a fumble on a 26 stretch. They had this big running back. I think his number was 23. And so number 31, Cornelius wraps him by his left leg. Anthony Chickalo grabs him by his right leg. Denzel Perryman comes around. I mean, it was perfect. The ball is up like this. Denzel Perryman, perfect form. Helmet hits the ball, pops up. Cortez Porter, excuse me. Number 96 falls on the ball. People go ballistic. I was at this game. That's the only reason why I know.
What year was this?
2013 versus
13.
Florida.
That was the we were just talking about that game a couple weeks ago. 21-16 win.
Yes.
Yep.
So when I went over the games that I was at for the games, yeah, that was one of them. And one of the other, his senior year, he had a really tough first half of the year. Supposedly battling injuries, but whatever. Then it just kind of skyrocketed the latter half of the season. There was one play, Mark. We're playing South Carolina in the Outback Belt No One Cares Bowl.
Yeah, the Weed Eater Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it was like Duck Dynasty Bowl, I think was the actual name of it.
Was it really? I thought
Yes.
it was the Weed Eater Bowl, the Independence Bowl. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it could have been Independence, but I know Duck Dynasty was there. It was like they were taking pictures with the players and stuff. Playing South Carolina. Yep. It's 4th and goal. So it came to not 4th and goal, but 4th and inches. So I'll take you back a play before that. It's 3rd and 1. Tyreek McCord, who was playing his last game as a Miami Hurricane, shoots the backside gap. Him and Anthony Chickalo meet on the running back in the backfield, but they counted it like forward progress, right? So the next play, it's 4th and inches, game on the line. If Miami wants to get back in the game, they must stop them and then score a touchdown to win by 4, right? So stop them, and there's a stalemate at the LOS. And so the center is driving Porter back. Porter's not giving up. He's pushing the center back. Denzel Perryman hops over the line of scrimmage where it's just mesh your bodies. He hops over and tackles the QB on a QB sneak on 4th and goal to give the Miami Hurricanes, not 4th and goal, 4th and inches to give the Miami Hurricanes a chance on offense to go down and win the game. Of course, we blow it and do something stupid and end up losing the game. That's just simply how you can describe the hires at Miami. Stupid, but Al Golden was doing this Al Goldenism crap, and we ended up losing the game. But that was one of them that stood out to me. Was like, this dude just hopped in his last game. You knew it was his last game. Hops over on a 4th and inches and makes the TFL on a QB sneak. Like, that's extremely hard to stop. But yeah, those are my 2 players. The absolute worst career that I've ever watched, from ascend to atrocious, Stacy Coley. And one that I literally watched and paid attention to gradually build in Denzel Perryman.
Good stuff from the Wholesome One here. Talking Miami football each and every week with you. And we're going to be back tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern time with Cam Underwood from State of the U. So we don't schedule it that way to have 2 Miami lives in the same day. It just works out that way because that's when the Wholesome One could make it. And that's when Cam could make it as well. So we got Chuck on the line. We appreciate the Super Chat contribution from Chuck C. as always. Mark, my breakout player is Nesta Silvera, as I have watched him develop. Player that comes to mind is Nick Farley and how he improved into an elite.
I really like that comparison. And what I like about it even more is that it speaks to what is going on at Miami in the simple development. Okay, if we're going to be in this 4-2-5, you must have defensive linemen who can get in the backfield. Because if you're going to have lackluster linebacker play, then they better get handled with the front. Okay, but now that we've made hires on all stages of the defense. I expect all of them to get a good influx of play. Um, the only reason why it's a little tough for me to say length and size wise is Nick Fairley was 6'4". Okay, Nasty Nesty is like barely 6'1". You know? But as far as dominating, using strength as your go-to, strength as your second, and effort as your third, with the way that you play, I think it's a good combination. You know, if you remember, Mark, I had three people, pop quiz, Mark, three players
Yep.
who I came on your channel and on my channel and said, in my opinion, they're going to have breakout seasons. I'll give you a hint. Two was on defense, one was on offense. Two of them showed up. The other one is still, we're waiting to see what happens.
This is for 2020.
Yes.
Two on defense, one on offense. Breakout players.
See if you can remember it.
All right. I'm going to say on defense, you went with Silvera and Bolden.
Oh, close. You got the first one right, Silvera. I'm a huge fan of Light Skin Warrior, but my pick was Gilbert Frierson because he was being moved to striker.
And he came through.
But that was huge. Those are my three on defense. Was Nesta, Bubba, and Gilbert. So you were very close. But yeah, you got Nesta right. Yeah.
So then we've got one on offense.
Yeah.
So by the looks of you shaking your head, I'm going to say it was Mark Pope.
You a bad man, Mark. You a bad.
I was going to guess Pope anyway, but your facial expression locked it up for me.
It hurts, man. It hurts. And I just want people to understand the disappointment doesn't come from me expecting him to be a 5-star. It's just the disappointment of something as simple as being able to have your players focused enough to catch the football. You know, Mark, because once you lose confidence, it is so hard to rebuild a player's confidence. You know, and in a society where they are so susceptible to all these different distractions and attacks through social media, dark place, man, after that Oak State game, I feel for him. I just hope that he's able to use it as fuel, as down as he was. But we also understand it was something that he could control, and that's playing at a certain level and just simply catching the football. There's no way you get this far at the Division I level and we can't catch the football.
It's just slightly surprising, not much, but the two highest ranked players that are at least on campus now, not the two highest ranked players for the entire class, but the two on campus would be both outside the state of Florida. So we go to Frisco, Texas, and tight end Elijah Arroyo, 7th-rated tight end in the nation.
I'm not going to compare him to anybody because that's something I want to stop doing in our fan base because, good God, man. Another thing that happened, Mark. So Keyshawn Smith, remember Keyshawn Smith's Cam's guy? He changed his number to number 5. Who was the great offensive player that wore number 5 at Miami, Mark?
Oh, boy. You're going to put me on the spot here. 5 would have been... who was 5? How far back are we going? Why can't I come up with the great Miami number 5 player?
There should be 2 off the top of your head, but I'll give wide receiver.
Yeah, I figured it was a wide receiver. It wouldn't be a running back, I don't think, at 5. I'm seeing Hannah Moss was 6. 5 in the 2000s. Sorry. Drawing a blank. Andre Johnson was 5. What was he in the NFL? 80. Yeah. No, I'm not coming up with Andre. I don't remember Andre Johnson being 5. Just as I can't picture it. As soon as you ask me that question, what my mind tries to do is picture a hurricane in 5, and I put the white on him. Then I put the orange on. I put the green on. And I tried to come up with it. But Andre Johnson and who else with number 5?
Edgerrin James.
Oh, okay. He was 5, huh?
Yep.
32 in the NFL.
Yep.
I don't remember him being number 5. And I watched both those guys play a ton of games with Miami, but I don't remember.
Well, I mean, Mark, at one point we were must-see TV because of the quality of ball.
Sure.
Not for uniforms or turnover chains, but the quality of what we were doing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you hated us, you were like, God, dog.
The Edge was
them play
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember that. That doesn't come to mind.
The reason why I bring him up is because Keyshawn Smith changed his number to 5, and the whole fan base is doing the whole. He's Andre Johnson 2.0, and it's sickening. Because if the young man go out there and still needs another year to get better, and he's not just the 5-star recruit Andre Johnson was from the minute he walked in to the minute he left, then you're gonna say the kid sucks. Excuse me, the young man sucks. So anyway, Arroyo, the tight end, man, he's someone I'm so excited to see touch the football field at Miami. And the reason why is because I wanted to see him after a full year in the lab with Dave Feely and his strength and conditioning staff and the nutrition staff at Miami. Because if we're able to, the way that we've been reshaping bodies the last year, this young man is he's built a little different, Mark. His arms are like really small, but he's really built waist down. Like he loves legs day and he only does arms once a day. Kind of look. But his film, oh man. Blocks, receiving, returning. It's like he's a tight end, but he's just the most athletic player on the football field. And to be able to have him with Mallory, Hodges, Memorelli, Miami at tight end should be pretty good, man. But am I here to say he should have been a 5-star and Miami gets hate in the rankings? That's not what I'm here to say. Arroyo made a huge jump because I think he was like 22nd going into his senior year. They did like the re-rankings and he just shot up the boards as far as how well he was playing, man. But and he's an early enrollee. That's another thing that's going to help take the program to another level is when you can mix in. Of course, I think you also need a little bit more of your 3-stars in there. Because they're going to need that extra semester to get up to snuff if you're running like an elite program. But it's great to see some of those big-time recruits get in there too. Like let's say if you get 9 every year who can come in, try to get, I hope Miami recruiting 5, 6, 3-stars. I really hope not. But get as many as them as you can, but sprinkle a couple of your 4 and 5-stars in there too.
I'm going to settle a score before we get to our third player in the 2021 class, just because somebody brought up the 2000 National Championship and that Miami wasn't selected to play Oklahoma, which, again, the BCS, I could go year by year and point out how it got teams and selections screwed up almost every year. And Florida State should not have been playing in the national championship game that year. But I did point out to everyone that Washington had the same record as Miami. They won the Pac-12. They beat Miami head-to-head. Therefore, if anybody had a gripe, it was Washington as well for not being selected to play in the national championship game. And all I'm getting is a bunch of comments from people about that was a week 1 game, so like it didn't matter or something, which doesn't make any sense. Okay, you can fully believe, I think all of us have been in the position where we watched a game or there was a result of a game, and then later in the season, we believed the team that lost was the better team. That happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The better team doesn't always win the game, and you can evaluate the rest of the season and see, okay, we still believe that team's better, and there's nothing wrong with having that opinion. But if you're selecting a national championship game, you have to go by the result on the field. You can't. You just have to do it. That's all there is to it. And it's a stupid system anyway. But I'm just pointing out that Washington beat Miami in 2000. So for the Miami fans that are put off that they weren't selected. The Washington contingent obviously has that same gripe. But
The only
Florida,
thing I would say is Oklahoma deserved to be there. Wait, no, Miami beat OU and Tallahassee, right?
so this is in 2000.
Right.
Oklahoma was undefeated.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say.
So they're
OU
the team
deserved to
that
be there.
they're in for sure.
Either
Miami, Florida State,
Miami or
Miami, and
Washington.
Washington all had one loss.
That's what I'm saying. It could have easily been Miami or Washington. Tallahassee
Yeah.
should not have been there because of the fact that we had just beat them so late in the season. It just
Sure.
didn't make any sense.
No,
In
it didn't
my
make any
opinion.
sense.
But I mean,
When you've got three teams with one loss, the one team that didn't have an argument was Florida State, and of course they're the one team that's in the game. That happened a number of times in the BCS era. That was the stupidest thing imaginable. Okay, because if Miami goes, regardless of the evaluation of how great they were, and they were a great team from a talent perspective, then Washington's the only team that says, what about us? We beat them head to head. But Florida State's the only team that has no argument in the deal. All right. I always find it interesting when somebody's listed as an athlete because they're typically either a wide receiver in college or they're going to be a defensive back. And you got Chase Smith as a top 300 player, number 15 in the athlete category, 42nd rated player in the state out of Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Melbourne. My bad.
Country.
I'm talking about him like he's coming from Australia. That's like when somebody wrote in the chat a few minutes ago, and I posted the question about Nick Farley. I know who Nick Fairley is, but I was just reading it, and they left out the guy. So yeah, Nick Fairley, I know all about him. Auburn, etc. So anyway,
yeah, no problem. He's one of those players that is catching a lot of people off guard. Mark, if you turn on his film, this young man plays running back, wide receiver, tight end, punt, kick returner, safety, corner, all these different positions. He's coming to Miami to play striker. Okay? I'm going to say that again. He plays running back, wide receiver, tight end, corner, safety. A little bit linebacker on his film. Defensive end, rush the passer. Everything for his team. He's coming to Miami to play striker. That's the type of athleticism you need. But here again, Mark, what mind boggles me, when everybody says how rude it is of me to say Amari Carter, the linebacker, how it doesn't make any sense, right? But you can have foresight of this athlete here and put him as striker. You can have foresight about Gilbert Frierson moving from corner to safety to striker. Greg Rousseau moved from striker to defensive end. Harrison Hunt moved from defensive end to defensive tackle. Elijah Roberts from defensive end to defensive tackle. Zach McCloud from inside linebacker to defensive end. But when we talk about Amari Carter, the linebacker, it's a problem. Okay. Anyway, you're bringing in a true athlete who played all these positions in high school. He's coming to play striker for you and adding to the depth at that position, which is starting to get pretty dang good. Because right now you got Gilbert Frierson as a starter, Keontre Smith as his backup, and now you're adding Chase Smith to that. I really like what I'm seeing.
good stuff out of the Wholesome One, breaking down the 2021 class. And of course, if you've got any comments you'd like to leave and questions, debate topics, and the like, leave them in the live chat. I will pick them up from here. We appreciate everybody's contribution. So keep that in mind that the channel and this particular show keeps rolling because of you, your individual contributions. If you've got a business or know someone who has a business and that may benefit from sponsoring us, hit me up at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. Cam Kinchins out of Northwestern, 23rd rated safety, top 300 player, roughly top 50 player in the state.
My favorite player in this class. My favorite player in this class. Mark, You know how sometimes you see a prospect, you hear him speak, and you just go, he gets it. He gets it. As a person, he gets it. As someone who graduated with a 3.8 GPA, he just gets it, you know. And what I really loved about Cam Kitchens was the fact that he wasn't really with all of the hoopla and recruiting. You know, he had his offers. He had SEC offers. It came down to Florida, Texas A&M, not Florida, excuse me, Auburn, Texas A&M, and Miami. Which is funny because the person who was recruiting him, who he stopped answering the phone calls for, was T-Rob. And now T-Rob is his position coach at Miami, which is pretty funny. But a player who speaks about all the little things and is also really good. It's not like he gets it, he has great grades, he's just a really nice player, and he's the preferred walk-on. He's a young man who, big time in 707, hands, just football IQ, the way he can decipher what's going on while the play is happening. You know, I listen to a lot of players talk. You don't always get that. You get someone who just understands why he makes the plays, but doesn't understand how he can settle the people up. Doesn't understand why he gets all this attention on defense. Okay, but he played safety, free safety, a true safety, not someone who's, you know, can slide it as safety and we hope it works out. No, he's a safety. Okay, he can probably even come in and play nickel with his hips and his athleticism and Cam Kitchens, but hard hitter, open field tackler, a leader, could really be a QB of your defense. You know, some people call him like baby Ed Reed, but I'm not gonna say that's not where I want to go with it. But as far as the people in Miami who I've spoken to personally, who have known Cam for years, who've watched him play at Miami Northwestern since he was a true sophomore on varsity, 3-time state champion. I mean, these are the type of things you want to be adding to your team. You know what I'm saying, Mark? How do you want to be a leader if no one in there? How do you want to be a winner and no one in there knows how to win? Got a team full of losers. Got a team full of coaches that don't know what it's like to be champions. Like, oh, well, you know, I played a little. And, oh, you know, I was a videographer on a national team. So, yeah, we got it, guys. Let's go. No, that's not how it works. Okay. So, man, he's one of those players I just wish people understood how impactful he's going to be moving forward for this team, leadership-wise, and how he already, as a true freshman, is going to be galvanizing the troops, man. Cam Kitchens is one of my favorite players.
Ronan, so much appreciate you. Super chat contribution coming in. Ronan doesn't have a question. Just here to support. Hit the like, everyone. Support the vision. Ronan gets it. Keep up the great work, gentlemen. Go Canes. Thank you so much, Ronan. Appreciate that. All right. I see a position coming up here that is sorely needed. Michael McLaughlin, offensive tackle. You could use some guys up front that get the job done. 25th rated in the country. And he's the top 335 player nationally, top 50-ish player in the Sunshine State.
Give me his measurables again, Mark.
He's at 6'7", 290 out of Pompano Beach, Florida.
Mark, when he committed to the Canes, do you know how much he weighed?
255.
He was 6'8", 6'7", 6'8".
Yep.
240.
Wow.
That was his build size.
Yeah.
When you looked at him, he looked like just a tall tight end, you know, kind of like Eric Winston type of thing. Where it's like, oh, okay, these are the type of players we want to bring in. You know, not the big pudgy people where we got to reshape your body. Let's bring in somebody who's a little slender, give them more time, give them that strength condition nutrition, and they'll blow up, you know, balloon. He did it himself. Him and his father dedicated the quarantine to the weight room. To the point where when he showed back up for camp, his own high school coaches were like, are we gonna have to forfeit games because are you on some stuff, man? Like, what's going on here? He showed up to camp at like 285 and they were mind blown. What I'm hoping when it comes to McLaughlin, man, I'm hoping we can throwing a red shirt on players is kind of overrated nowadays, but unless your team is just so really good, what I'm hoping is we give them some time before we have to throw them out there. We don't want to have to Zion Nelson to play the young man at all. Unless he just walks in and he's just the absolute best right or left tackle we have, I want to be able to hold him off for at least one mango season. 2022 is when I want to start hearing or seeing McLaughlin on the field. But he's an early enrollee. Like, I think people don't understand how beautiful it is to get an early enrollee. And how it's tough because your scholarship numbers. I mean, if every coach could just have 100 players, but 30 of them be players who can't play, but they can practice with you, and as soon as they sign in December, they enroll in January, and all 30 of them roll in, every coach would sign up for that. Heck yeah. But it's not like that. Okay, you got rollover. You have players who transfer out. You have players who graduate and move on with their life. You have players who try to enter the National Football League. It's a lot of stuff that kind of goes on with the scholarship count. And to be able to get another 10 in at a position like offensive tackle, with a player who's already shown his dedication to the office, to the weight room, to his craft, to reshape his body, to be prepared to play in the fronts at this level, man, I love it. I love it.
So Wholesome One, obviously, for a player who enrolls early, we know what spring practice looks like. It's the 15 session, it's the spring game, it's the multiple game-like scrimmages or near game-like scrimmages, all of that. But for the early enrollee starting now up until the time we get to spring practice, can you give us a feel for what they're benefiting from? Is it anything in addition to weight room, conditioning, all of that?
Okay, without giving away what I've seen personally, there's nothing like being able to get young men, 17, 18, maybe 19, to kind of get a head start as to the mental of the game and how much it can really wear down on your body mentally and physically to go through that at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, then have to go through the day as a regular student, then come back and do it all over again in the evening. It can really wear down on you. I mean, of course, because you got to split up. You only get 24 hours, Mark, and at least 6 of them you need to be asleep, okay, to get the proper gains. You got. I'm cutting up on my end. Are you still hearing me clearly?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. All right. Cool. I'll just go there. Okay.
Yep.
So let's start off with all this time you got to split up. Okay, so 6 of them away. 6 from 24 is 18. Last time I went to math class, it's been a while, right? So 18 hours, right? Now, if you spend the first 2.5 of that with football, that brings you down to 6. That's the morning, 16 hours, right? Then maybe 2 or 3 more of those, okay, for the evening practices, right? So that's down to 13 hours. Let's say you have spring courses most people take. In order to be a full-time student and be on scholarship, you need at least what, Mark? 12.
Yeah.
Okay, 12 credits. But every course is like an hour or so, maybe hour 15. Okay, so if we're at 13, let's say you're taking 4 credits that are all 3 each, 3-hour courses. So that means 12. So that means you have class for 4 hours. So now we're down to 9 hours left. That includes sleep, practice, anything else left, right? So you got downtime, you have travel time, you have. Now, what happens when you have player-led stuff? We haven't even gotten into position meetings. We haven't even gotten into uh, uh, defensive as a whole meetings or film sessions. Okay. Then your girlfriend wants some time on the phone. Your mama want to know what's going on with you. Your dad want to know how practice is going. You got coaches who's calling you and texting you from high school, asking you how's the experience at a D1 institution. Okay, the biggest thing is the time management for these young men. And how can they respond to it and stay focused? Now, all of that is mental and physical. What about you time? What about if, let's say if you are a video gamer, if you are a reader, if you like to write, your personal time, how are you able to juggle all of those things and still be the player that these coaches gave a scholarship to and invested in you? That's why I love early enrollment. It's because these young men get a chance to see how it is preseason. So before you get a chance to go out and there's 30,000, 40, 50, 60, 70,000 people out there watching you do what you do, you be able to build a nice foundation. And of course, the running and lifting and football is something you've been doing for a while. But to have to do all of that and maintain the grades and maintain you as a person while putting in, because of course, if you just do what coach tells you to, are you ever going to ascend? Probably not. So what about your extra stuff? What about the player-led runs? What about the, your position-led drills and lifting that's not a part of when you're supposed to lift with the team at 6 a.m.? Okay. So a lot of these young men need time to kind of push all that together and let it get rolling. And if you can get a semester early in on that type of thinking, create a foundation, create a schedule, get with what you want to do and who you want to be for the next 3 years. If you can get a jump start on that, it'll really help them as not only as football players or future NFL draft prospects, but men to be able to create a foundation for who and what you want to be.
Our guy Tabardine here.
Mark, I
Uh,
told you to stop giving this man any attention.
I know, but I'm just going to say this one thing because he's enlightened me that what I'm basically going to do going forward is I'm going to go through the college football standings and I'm going to figure out who had to travel a long distance to games, and I'm going to switch around the wins and losses, and we'll get those adjusted. All right. So next up, we've got Thomas Davis out of Valdosta, Georgia, 6 feet, 235.
Mhm.
25th rated inside linebacker, number 41 player in the state of Georgia.
Loved his junior film. Hadn't had a chance to see any of his senior film. With how quarantine was going and players and not some people uploading highlight tape, some people not. Like it was really tough. But I loved his hands, his aggressive hands, his hand play. He was playing defensive end. Okay, but he's coming here to play some inside linebacker. And I think, see, I saw him on the roster with number 95, so I wonder if they're gonna let him play DN, right? I because when I looked at the current roster, he's wearing 95. I don't know too many inside linebackers number 95 on. Maybe 59, but not 95. But that's just me from what I saw. But either way, I would love to see him play some defensive end because, man, the way his technique, his leverage, his hand placement, his multitude of moves in his tool bag, his effort in the run game and in pass rush, I would love to see it come off the edge for Miami. I really would. I think he could be kind of like a Trent Harris type player for us moving forward. And I wouldn't mind moving him, back to linebacker now that we have the coaches that can coach him up and make him good. But besides that, I would love to see his hand in the dirt or the 2-point stance coming off the edge for the U.
Good stuff. Wholesome One, don't know how much more time you got here, but we can run down a few more depending on, again, your time situation. We got Deshaun Troutman, 33rd rated player, inside linebacker, top 100 in the state, number 692 national. And again, we're going through the players who are on campus already. Deshaun Troutman.
Old school inside linebacker. Quicker than fast. IQ allows him to play faster. He's one of those linebackers to where he'll show up and give you 110. You kind of know what to expect out of him. But he's not going to win 4x1 race. He's not the fastest dude. And I like what we're getting out of him, but I do wish that we would recruit speed first. Speed, 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 speed. You know, we can get, like we talked about last week, Mark. I can get you in the weight room and get you stronger. I can get you quicker. But do you have that Miami speed, that suddenness, that aggression? And he has a lot of aggression, great football IQ. And for all I have read, a really, really good young man and one heck of an inside linebacker. And of course, you still need a thumper every now and again. You need somebody that's going to shoot the A gap, B gap, and put a helmet on somebody, you know. But I love the fact that he's an early enrollee so that we can see what he brings to the table at this level sooner, so that he knows what he has to work on a semester sooner. Another player where I love this film. I mean, whoever coached that dude, man, Mark, like his knowledge of where he's supposed to be at the inside linebacker position. I mean, even from him being able to, you live one of the plays, you see him like, and it's one of them where you wonder why a player had so much on the film before he actually made the play. So they break the huddle, and he's like literally like chirping. All you see is him like pointing all over before the play starts. But for those of us that's a cue, it's like, oh, he's about to call the play out. He literally points at the guard. He's talking to his defensive end, his outside linebacker. He points at the guard and says, you can tell him like going. So he basically said like, this guy is pulling and it's a run that way. He literally gets in his stance. It was literally a power. And he shot right where that guard was moving and blasted it running back in the backfield, you know. And of course, I just love to see little stuff like that. It means a lot to me that a player has that film study implemented in him already, has that football IQ implemented in him already. And now the job of the coaches at the college level is to only shine it up even more to make him what he the best player that he can be.
Wholesome One, for what it's worth, your 2020 kicker's brother is already on campus.
So. Oh yeah, and hopefully that he could be just as good as his brother, you know. But I kind of want him to just go out, like I say, go out there and do the best that he can. We literally had, is it the Ray guy? Is that the kicker of the year?
He's the punter. The Groza is the place kicker.
The first time we've ever had a Groza winner. You know, and to expect him to be his brother, you know, soon as 6 months apart from each other, is probably not the best thing to do. You know, a draftable kicker from the University of Miami. So I mean, because Jose is the one that just left. What's his brother's name?
I just had it up here. It is shoot.
Either way, Baby Borregales. We'll go with that.
Andres
Borregales. Yes, there we go. There you go. I love it. I'll give you one more, Mark. Hit me.
Yeah.
Hit me.
Oh, that was the end of the line for the guys that have enrolled early.
Oh, okay. Cool beans.
We can stop right there. And I've got a quick trivia question for anybody in the live chat, since it was brought up about the Ray Guy Award and the Lou Groza Award. If anybody knows where they both played in college and in the NFL. So we got Ray Guy, college, NFL, and we've got Lou Groza. And you know what? Actually, I'm forgetting where Ray Guy played in college, where he punted, if you don't want to call him a player, where he punted in college. But I certainly know he was the Ray Guy was the first punter to ever have a. Yes, he was the first punter to. No, never mind. I was going to say he was the first punter in Super Bowl history to have a punt block, but there was a punt blocked a couple of years prior to that. He's the first punter to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Ray Guy, with the Oakland Raiders. But Lou Groza was an Ohio State Cleveland Browns guy. So
cool.
There you go. From the fabulous 1950s. And one more super chat coming in. Chugmo Beer, appreciate you jumping on the line here. Thank you so much. Hello, Mark and the Wholesome One. Hashtag Live Squad.
Yes,
So it looks like
sir.
for you, Chuck Mobeer, you're going to have to be hashtag Live Squad and hashtag Rewatch Squad. But Chuck Mobeer, thanks for being here and for contributing as well. Got some contributions here from Ronan and Chuck C. Thank you so much, Chuck C, as well. Wholesome one. It's always a good time. I always learn something. I know everybody else does as well. Appreciate you being here. Let us know what you got on your channel here recently and when you're going to be live next.
Yes, so still try to keep up the Monday night lives as best as I can. We do have our season. We kick off in 10 days here, Mark, up at NDSU, and we have our spring season this year. So it's a little different. No playoffs though, so FCS playoffs is like not a thing. So okay, which is fine. So, like I said, I'll try to keep it up here with you as best as I can. Try to keep my lives on Mondays. That's probably to be the extent of what I can do for a couple months here, but I'm dedicated to giving what I can. So, appreciate being here. Mostly at like 4:30 Eastern ish time.
We'll take it when we can get you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And on Mondays, like 8:15 ish, somewhere in there. So, like I said, I love doing this. It's been a great time, and I've grown in front of YouTube. So, why not give it the best that I can?
Programming note, everyone here, 7 o'clock Eastern time with Cam Underwood, State of the U, right here, talking Miami football. More Miami football talk for you. And also, I had attempted to start and deliver my first live stream on the SEC channel at 6 o'clock. I had some connection problems, so I don't know if that's going to work out necessarily. Some people had gotten back to me on how to connect that. And so I may or may not be there at 6 o'clock Eastern time to talk SEC football and answer your questions over there. All right, Wholesome One, have a great rest of your week.
Wait, time out. You see Ronan's question?
Oh, no. Where is he?
Ronan Jones.
Let's get Ronan in here. Hey.
That's a conflict of interest. I couldn't do it.
Can't do that one?
Mm-mm. I
Man,
actually
there's some insider information there we could get.
Yeah, I could really go. I wish I could, especially with Trey and Jabril Cox and those guys going on who I've known for years now, watched them grow up in the program. I wish, but it's different when the head man's like, stick to what you've been doing. That's okay. I know exactly what that means, so I'll stay in my lane. So I wish.
Good stuff, Wholesome One. We
I
appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
You have a good one.